What are we looking at?
Well, what we have here is Anthony Barbose's 1972, I believe, Mercury Capri, which was raced in the late 70s. And I was fortunate enough to find the car, and here we are. Guy actually had it sitting out in his yard.
Really?
Yep.
So it's a local, is it originally local?
Yeah, the car was actually built local to Millville.
Oh, okay. Where'd they race it at in Millville?
Actually didn't race in Millville. I think they took it to Watkins Glen and raced it up in the Northeast in that fashion at road courses up that way.
So, what history do you know about it?
Pretty much just a little bit, not a whole lot. From what I understand, Anthony, a couple other guys, I'm not sure exactly who they were. Charles Norcross, Norcross's Transmissions out of Millville, put the car together in the late 70s, like I said, and then from what I understand, I do have a newspaper clipping that
I saw that in the ad.
Yeah. So that was pretty neat. But I guess they finished third and fourth over the weekend at Watkins Glen in the late 70s with this car. Basically, the way it sits, from what I understand, Anthony ran it around the streets locally after he raced it. So
has the original fender flares just sitting out in the yard, huh?
Yeah. Well, what happened was, I guess Anthony passed away. Then Anthony's widow, from what I understand, didn't want nothing to do with Anthony's stuff. So he had a lot of cars and stuff that his widow's brother actually sold off a lot of Anthony's stuff. So this car and another car they had was the last car that they had. From what I understand, so
super cool.
Yeah, it is pretty neat.
Fiberglass?
Yeah, the fiberglass chin spoiler there. Yeah. So like I said, I really didn't know much about the Capris until I found this car.
Does it run?
Yeah, it does run. Yeah, I actually got it running and driving, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. It took a little bit of tweaking and stuff, but yeah, we did get it running.
Smaller than I thought. For some reason, I thought it'd be more Mustang-esque size.
Yeah, they consider it the European Mustang, and depends on how you look at the car. The front of the car looks pretty long if you look at it certain ways, and then the back's kind of shorter. From what I understand, it's actually based on a Cortina chassis, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Look, trunk is in good shape.
Yeah, the car is actually pretty solid. It's only got a couple little spots.
Where the bottom. Oh, I see the trunk where the tire is kind of rusted a little bit.
Yeah, underneath the tires rusted a little bit, and then behind the wheel wells here. And there's a couple spots coming through. But from what I understand, to find a running example of a Capri on the Northeast is on the East Coast is kind of rare.
I've never seen one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's why I really hate to part with the car, but the car really needs a proper home, to be honest.
Not interested in taking it out and racing it again?
No, we really are, especially with the local track here in Mobile and stuff. Yeah. We really are interested in it, but
and they have two vintage series.
Yeah,
the SVRA and I can't remember the other one.
Yeah, we're definitely interested in putting the car together and showing it and stuff. But at the same time, I kind of like to find a good home for the car.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I've had Capri guys that were like, yeah, I want to put an interior back in and put it back to original. I'm like, yeah, that's not the car for you then.
Are you pretty picky on who you want to go to?
Yeah, I'm pretty adamant about the car actually getting put back to its racing history and, somebody tracking down the logs and making a book for it and showing the car as it was. Capris are pretty valuable on their own, but, for what this is, I really think it needs to be restored back to its racing history.
So there's the gas tank, original gas tank, which would probably go, if you're fuel celling it, down in that spot.
Yeah, kind of funny story with this car is when I got this car, I didn't even know what it was. The guy had to tell me what it was. I looking at it, I was like, "Oh, what is it? A Datsun?" Or so I thought it was some kind of. It is an imported car, right. But I've actually been joking with guys and stuff, and I stopped doing it. I was like, "Well, if you could tell me what kind of car this is, I'll give it to you." And I think the third time I did that, they didn't know what it was. They took the same stance I did. Like, what is it? Datsun or
Yeah.
Mazda,
Yeah.
you know, like and stuff. So, but yeah, I stopped doing that pretty quick. Yeah.
Because somebody's gonna know.
There's my uncle and my dad knew what the car was, and certain people that know what they are. And it's basically experiencing the car when they were imported and, you know, run around the streets with the Chevelles and the Mustangs and all that stuff. And I've had a couple people that were like, you know, that car's not a Mercury. I'm like, yeah, I know. It was listed. They sold them.
Not a Mercury?
No, they're not a Mercury. They're considered a Ford Capri. And
okay.
the hardcore guys say no, they're not Mercuries. But they were. What
But
it
didn't
was?
they have Mercury?
Well, no. What they
Capris?
did, they sold these at Mercury dealers, so they didn't interfere with the Mustang.
Why?
Because Ford didn't want the European, you know, competitor of the Mustang being sold next to a Mustang.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they actually sold them at Mercury dealers.
Yeah, I always thought they were Mercury Capris.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people did, but the hardcore guys say, well, you know, it's not a Mercury, it's a Ford. Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah, they were sold at a Mercury dealer, not to interfere with the Mustangs.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Such a cool front end. It's tough to tell. Floor looks like it's in decent shape.
Yeah.
Fenders all need loving. That a glass pack?
Yeah, I think it has just a single glass pack on it, and it has the old school slip Zol's header, so that's
No kidding.
yeah, not sealed up or anything.
What are you asking again? Is it 6 grand for this one?
Yeah,
I've been looking at
I put 8,000 on it just because of its racing history and stuff, which I know is a little high for, you know, what it is. But yeah, I'd be willing to, you know, work with somebody that's you know, willing to do the car properly.
Bare bones stash.
Yeah, the wiring harness and everything's been stripped out.
So nothing works.
You know, yeah, everything works. He actually wired blinkers and horn and all that stuff up, hardwired everything. So took us a little while to figure out how everything was set up and stuff. But yeah, once we got the grounds cleaned up and stuff, everything started coming to life. Transmission felt good.
So you actually drove it?
Yeah, I've drove it up down the street a few times.
Steel? How long was it sitting outside?
I believe the car was stored inside at Anthony's shop in Millville since the 80s.
Oh, wow.
I think it was only outside for probably a week before I found the car.
Good timing on your part.
Yeah, that's what I say. I kind of really feel like the car found me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not to be a weirdo, but
No.
you know,
I totally agree with that stuff.
Yeah. And then I, as soon as I studied the car a little bit, I went right back and got the car.
Thanks for doing this, man.
Oh yeah, that's no problem.
A little 4-banger.
Yep. So I think that's what they consider the Pinto motor.
Pinto, huh?
Yeah.
My dad had a Pinto. They weren't known for any kind of horsepower.
Yeah.
You think this is like gone over a bunch?
Yeah. I know it has a bigger carburetor, different intake. The header's done.
Old Holly 2-barrel?
Yeah. That's basically the same 2-barrel that we'd use on the dirt track race cars and stuff.
No kidding.
Yeah. And all I basically did was, change the fluids, the plugs, the wires, cap and rotors. I rebuilt the carburetor, put fuel in it, and then I couldn't get it running. Couldn't figure out why. And then I was like, "Oh, you dummy! It's got points in it." So I physically had to clean the points. You know, I haven't seen that in so long.
No.
Yeah, so once I cleaned the points.
Did you leave the points back in? Did you use
I ended up.
electronic stuff?
I think I ended up putting points back in it.
Oh. So it was yellow, I take it, at some point?
No, I think the original color was actually this gray color, if I'm not mistaken. Because everything I've seen was there's been yellow overspray, there's been black overspray. I haven't ran any numbers or anything like that, but I do believe it was a gray silver car.
Were the these little inlets or fake brake ducting?
I think they had the
is that part of the
they had casted.
Capris?
They had casted like vent looking things, like you said, that were there.
Yeah.
So he took all the trim off the car, the bumpers, all that stuff, and then just kind of riveted up. And I think these, it looks like, he put rivets back in it.
Steel or fiberglass?
I'm not sure.
Last and past wheels too.
Yeah.
Were these what came with it?
Yeah, this is basically how I found the car. I didn't want to do a whole lot. The only thing I did do was clean out the inside, and he literally had house speakers wired up in there where he was driving it around on the streets. So I did take those out, and kind of left it alone since then. I didn't even really want to wash the car because I wanted to document it.
Right. The old school labeling system. I forget what they're called. That raises this stuff here.
Oh yeah, the some sort of stamping.
Yeah, like brother printer type thing. So this is probably factory, I guess.
Yeah, I believe that was probably the factory cluster. They just kind of moved over. Yeah.
Crazy.
And I've never seen a stereo like that.
Nah. Oh, that's old school. We're out of spec now.
Yeah, I actually have Anthony's helmet too. Look at this thing.
Wow. Where'd you find that in the car?
Yeah, it was actually in the trunk. And it's actually labeled on the back. I guess that's kind of like the info if something happened to the driver, maybe. Yeah, kind of like dog tags, possibly.
That's wild.
Yeah, so that's what I said. It was pretty neat.
Tetanus.
1970. And I was just shocked how small the helmet actually is.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
old Formula One style.
Yeah. So that was pretty neat. That to find that was pretty cool.
The frame itself.
Yeah, and the subframe in the front, which is only a little pinhole, and looks like they might have tried to patch it from the inside and stuff.
Right.
But other than that, I did kind of go over the car, and once I realized they were rust buckets if they weren't taken care of.
Oh, they were?
Yeah. From what I understand, when I Googled the car when I first got it, they said it's hard to find a running example on the East Coast.
Really?
Yeah, just because a lot of them that were imported in, got used and left outside, and a lot of them rotted where they guys wouldn't fix them. And what the guys told me, because I didn't know what I had, and they pretty much said that this was they called it a federal imported Capri pre-facelift car. So it was actually one of the first cars that were imported in. Yeah, before I guess they did a facelift on the front afterwards.
From Ford, but actually imported.
Yeah, from what I gathered, Ford actually sent the Pinto motors and the motors over to wherever they built the car, which I think later on I found out it was in Germany.
Voltmeter? Volt,
yeah, that's actually the
ignition coil?
Ignition, yeah. I was surprised it still works. I think it's an old Mallory.
So that is aftermarket then.
Yeah, it's definitely aftermarket.
Man, these things are tiny.
Yeah, it is a screamer though.
How fast did you take it out?
Not very fast.
Drive up and down here?
Yeah, I just went down the end of the road and back and got on a little bit. I think the clutch wasn't quite engaging all the way, so it kind of was slipping a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it does need to be going over. It's been sitting so long that it's probably going to need valve seals and seals,
especially if you're going to race it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the car's been probably sitting since the 80s, so I was actually surprised that I was able to get it running and moving.
You want to do something?
Nope, I should go get it.
Doesn't sound like they have some internals done there.
Yeah, it's
like
probably got a can.
That's crazy. What the headlights on? No way before you pull over. Doesn't blow a whole lot of smoke either.
Yeah, really not that bad for what it is.
Yeah. All right, that sounds pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it
For
is.
four. Well, if I don't buy it and you keep it, I would love to like come out, whatever if you like run it somewhere or even drive it around or whatever. I'd love to continue this. And you're cool. Man, it's such a cool car.
Yeah, it really is really neat. I mean, just to know that these local guys did this in the late '70s and
It's a time capsule.
Yeah, literally. And from what I understand, Anthony's brother and John's son actually died in a race car crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were actually pretty prominent racing family on top of the sports background. I'm not sure exactly the story, but from what I understand, yeah, I think it was the older brother. He died in a race car crash.
Okay.
Yeah, which I didn't really. This is all stuff that just came to me and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I first posted it on the Capri groups and stuff, one guy was like, "Yeah, I'd cut my left leg off for those wheels." Because
Really?
I guess they're not made anymore, and they were original wheels from back in the '70s or whatever.
13 inches too.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had plans to probably put different wheels on it and stuff for track day, and put these back on it to go to car shows and stuff like that.